Hello, everybody. It's me, Graham Cove, with a better way to do Friday. Yeah, hope you're all well. Just going to put these on. Marvellous. Now I can hear nothing at all. There we go. What are you doing today? Are you getting ready for the weekend, or you got a busy Friday? You still got a lot of work to do. I feel sorry for you if that's the case, but you know, a busy Friday means that presumably you're making money, so that's not a bad thing at all, is it? Anyway, I brought with me, as usual, my cup of positivity, and very soon I shall be joined by my son, Addison Cove, and we will be talking about today social media, marketing, what's going on LinkedIn at the moment, and you know, probably lots of diverse subjects as well. I missed most of the Queen's Jubilee because I was away in Portugal, so that was a bit of a shame. But maybe you can enlighten me. Maybe you can tell me what went on in your area, etc. So here we go. Let's add Addy to the stream, and here we go. Whoa!
Hey,
Just like that.
You want to put me on?
Yeah, absolutely. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
Not too bad. So I've got my cup of positivity again with me today. I'm sporting me, you know, cheap copy top, which I got from Portugal.
Nice.
Always have to do that, don't you?
Yeah.
Hey? Looky, bargain. You know.
Christ.
You just, you know, what you can't see is that because it's been washed once, is that it, you know, only fits up to there on the waist now.
Yeah, that actually used to be blue. When you bought it, it was blue. Now it's pink.
It's great. It's 2 for 1. It's a 2 for 1. Good evening from Australia. Good evening, or good day, as you sometimes say down there. How is Australia? Did you? I want to know, because in Portugal we didn't get any coverage really on the TV of the Queen's Jubilee over here. And hello from Bristol as well, a little bit nearer to home, just up the road there in Bristol. Yeah. So did you get a lot of coverage on Australian TV of the old Jubilee? I'd love to know. Did you watch any of it, Ads?
No. I mean, the short answer is no. The long answer is still no.
Yeah.
No, I didn't watch any of it really. I maybe caught a few bits and bobs here and there. You know, it's funny you say that there wasn't coverage of it in Portugal, because I'm imagining 90% of people who watched it would have watched it from a stream or something, which you definitely still could have watched.
Yeah,
in Portugal,
no, absolutely. I'm just saying on you know, Portugal TV, there didn't seem to be much coverage of it.
I did not watch it because I was busy, and I just thought it'd be funnier to watch the highlights afterwards. I just thought that would be better.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, I did exactly the same. You got the condensed version of it, which was really good.
Really not that long.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, there you go. All the coverage and some parties too. What they actually put on, or you had parties, or there was coverage of English people having parties. That would be quite interesting.
I'm imagining they had parties rather than watching English. Watching us have parties.
Oh, look, there's some English people having a party to do with the Jubilee.
Did see one of my friends sent me some pictures from a street party that they were having on the Jubilee, and it looked dead. It did not look very active. Yeah, because everyone was social distance still, so it was just people sat out in their front gardens looking at each other, which was kind of a bit of a dampener.
Oh, there you go. Suzanne said they actually had parties. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, any excuse for a party, really.
Exactly.
Perhaps the Queen can have another one next year, and we can have a party again. Just
another Jubilee.
Just for the sake of it. Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? In England, in particular, I think we do love to have a party just for the sake of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Government House and several places around the country. There we go. The things you learn when you bring it up.
Yeah.
Now I've got to do a bit of a repair job later.
All right.
Yeah, you know your youngest brother. Yeah. Look, the eyes are disappearing on this.
Lord. I don't know how you're gonna repair that.
No, well, I'm fine because I've got a white paint marker. So,
well, how are you going to do the black bit in the middle?
No, I've got a Sharpie for that. Other brands of pen are available.
Right.
Now we quite often, unfortunately, we haven't got Paul with us this week to talk about music because I mean he he's brilliant. He comes on and he talks about music, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've been listening to in the house since we got back.
Nice.
Unfortunately, part of that centers around mini disco. And mini disco for anybody that hasn't been on a holiday abroad across Europe anywhere is this phenomenon, should we say, that they put on that they put on in every single hotel. It's always called mini disco, and it's always the same songs. And it's stuff like Chihuahua, it's all that sort of stuff. Agadoo comes out, a bit of Black Lace, even the Hokey Cokey, and the kids get down the front and they absolutely love it. And so much so that ours enjoyed it so much so that later today, apparently, we're having to have our own mini disco at home to relive the whole experience. Yeah. So there's an idea for you, everybody. If you've got youngsters at home, maybe run your own little mini disco as you go into the weekend.
If they haven't just come back from holiday, they might not be quite as into it as if they have. I mean,
I can say you only do it once. That'll be the end of it. But now the second one that your other brother has really got into recently, he's ordered the book so that he can read it as well.
Oh, okay.
Is this little beast, which I'm sure you'll love to talk about, which is War of the Worlds.
Oh wow! Oh yes! Oh yes! Is it which one is it that he likes? Is it the new one or the old one? Cast recording wise.
Well, this one that I have in my hand here is the new cast recording with Gary Barlow. Yeah, and Liam Neeson. I love Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson's great in War of the Worlds. Yeah, I could talk about War of the Worlds. What would you like to know? Do
you have any interesting facts about it? Sometimes you have interesting facts about these things.
Yeah, I got loads. Okay, so War of the Worlds. Where do I start? Okay, so the original War of the Worlds was obviously the musical was written by Jeff Wayne. It was written by Jeff Wayne literally ages ago. It should be the longest running West End show of all time, but it's not, because Jeff Wayne has decided to repeatedly take it on and off the West End to tweak small bits of the music and then put it back on as a new show. So that technically counts as a new show because he's taken it on and then put it back off with different stuff on.
Does it win that prize then for the show that's been on and off the most times? Or not?
No, because that is that might even go to the Spider-Man musical that did really poorly.
Oh, that's the one that had U2 involvement in it.
Yes, because that didn't go well, and that went on and off constantly until they just scrapped the thing. But yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It's like spectacle, the hologram technology developed to put Liam Neeson in is way more expensive than just putting an actor there. For sure. It cost them so much money when they developed the hologram technology to put Liam Neeson on stage.
Would it have been cheaper to find? Again, this is probably the truth. Would it have been cheaper to find someone that looks a dead ringer for Liam Neeson and get them to learn to mime the whole lot and then just put his voice out?
Yeah, it would have been way cheaper, but you wouldn't have had Liam Neeson.
No.
There you go.
So good, isn't it?
What else can I say about Liam Neeson's in it? Oh, he still gets paid for every performance that he's in. It's still technically it's counted as a performance. Liam Neeson is paid per performance for War of the Worlds, despite him being a recording.
Wow.
Yeah. He wasn't paid a big lump sum like in normal filming. He's paid a smaller
Pro
amount
rata.
per show.
Yeah.
Instead. And my final fact is that they've got the War of the Worlds experience now, which is the new thing you can go and see from Jeff Wayne. So over COVID, he's developed this. He originally said he was going to go back and work on the musical again, which everyone was like, "Please do not, Jeff. Please
Again?
Please stop working on the musical, because that's all you've done." And he was like, "Okay, I'll do something else." So Jeff Wayne has written and directed this War of the Worlds experience, which is like it's part musical, part puzzle room and like escape room. You go through, it's like an interactive experience in London. It's meant to be really phenomenal. If anyone is in London and has been to the Jeff Wayne experience, let us know, because I have not. But I'm planning to.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Yeah, well, maybe we'll make a day out of that. That sounds like a really good idea. Now, my favourite sleeve note from this whole new album is right at the back here, where we actually do have photos of some of the older musicians that were involved, right? And one of the credits in here, this is brilliant, under accompanying vocalists, in big letters, we've got "and Tom Woodstock as the Heat Ray."
Yeah. So anyone that hasn't seen War of the Worlds, have you watched it yet? Because obviously the new one's cast recorded. There's a whole really well produced recording of it.
Yeah,
So
I haven't. No, I haven't watched it. No.
Oh well,
I just listened to it.
You should watch it.
Yeah.
There's no pre-recorded sound in War of the Worlds. Everything's created live every night, including the heat ray and stuff.
Wow.
So War of the Worlds has a full modern day orchestra and a full old timey orchestra with like violins and stuff. And there's a lot of switching between. You can see Jeff Wayne conduct, which is one of the things you go to see War of the Worlds because Jeff Wayne's a very animated conductor. And he basically, you've got the modern people sat over this side, and then the old time band sat over there, and the main theme is played. The dum 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 is played on. Yeah, the dum 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 is played on the modern side, and then the dum dum is violins over that side, and he goes dum 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 dum. Oh, yeah,
it's like real great stereo effect.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe you haven't watched it, because now you don't understand the. There's a giant, there's a 12-foot high. Well, it's taller than that, I think. It's like 12 or 20-foot high giant Martian with a flamethrower in it that comes down from the ceiling and sprays flames over the audience.
I love that.
Yeah.
I so want to watch it now.
Well, just watch it. I mean, it's just a cast recording.
I'm going to watch that, but I also really want to go and see it now. I hope it comes back, and I hope it hasn't been tinkered with too much.
It's not been tinkered with at all. It's the exact same when it comes back.
That's brilliant.
And it is currently back already. You can book tickets. War of the Worlds is one of the hardest shows to get tickets for. I think I did look at getting tickets the other day. Unless you want to go at really rubbish times, the next available tickets are for 2024. Because it's fully booked out a year and a bit in advance.
I can't say what it is because it's going to be a surprise for your mum. But we're obviously we're going to see a musical in November. What struck me let's talk about musicals in general, because that's a great topic. What struck me when I was trying to get tickets for musicals is, you go to these sites and it says tickets from, right?
That's for the bad seats.
Yeah, right. Okay. And this is the thing, right? The bad seats. Let's talk about the bad seats, because when you start looking at the bad seats in musicals and you look at the detail that throws up at you, it goes, basically, you won't see anything because you're behind a safety rail or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you go? Why would you? What I want to know is what makes people take that seat. I mean, it must be great if you just go and shut your eyes and you just immerse yourself in the music. But,
Yeah. Well,
or do the people that go and get those seats spend the whole of the time standing up and going, actually, I can see now. I'll just.
They probably try and find a spot where they can see something. But you've got to remember a lot of Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds. We're talking about that one first. Everything is like on giant screens behind them as well, so you can see it no matter where you're sat.
You just can't see the live.
You can't see the live stuff, but obviously that doesn't happen on most musicals.
No.
Why are people doing it? Probably because that's what they can afford, and you know.
Well, there's a massive price differential between one ticket and another. It's quite amazing, especially if you can pick up a last minute bargain. I mean, you can, sometimes you can actually get a theatre ticket in the West End for, say, £20 odd.
You can get it for way less than that.
Can you get it for less than that?
On the literally a minute before starting, if they haven't sold a ticket, get it for well cheap.
Cheap sounds really cheap.
My mate in London went and saw School of Rock for a £5 the other day.
School of Rock for a £5?
Yeah, they hadn't sold one. They just stand outside on the door before the show starts, and it was literally 2 minutes before the door closed, and they were like, "I'll just give it to you for a £5 if you want."
I have thought about doing that. I have thought about just going to London for the day and just sort of wandering around outside the theatre houses and going, just wandering.
Likelihood of you getting something is low.
Yeah,
especially at the moment.
It's probably better to book something, isn't it?
I wouldn't go with that being your whole plan for the day.
Just in case. Oh dear. A lot of people talking about concerts at the moment as well, outdoor concerts on LinkedIn and various other platforms, because a lot of them are really beginning to happen again, and festivals. Of course, we went to see Mr. Sheeran the other day. That was a spectacle.
Yeah,
it's incredibly good. So he starts off. It's in the round, so he's in the centre of whichever stadium, which has allowed him to actually beat some of the records for attendance at stadiums. Because, clever, you see. Because obviously normally the stage and everything else is at one end, and that negates all of that end plus the side bits around it in terms of ticket sales. So if you put it in the middle of the what would be normally the pitch or whatever, then you can fill up the whole stadium around it.
That's very true.
That is clever. It's really clever. So it was the Cardiff ones was beat the day that we went, beat the attendance record for any gig in Cardiff ever.
Nice.
See? Clever. But what was really good was, so the stage is a circle, obviously, and then he's got screens all the way around the stage, but actually it starts up there, and then just before it goes on, it comes down, right? And he's obviously getting ready underneath all of these screens.
Yeah.
And then it lifts up as he starts. Nice.
Yeah, that makes that. Yeah, I saw quite a lot of stuff from the Ed Sheeran concert, because obviously you went, but loads of my friends went as well to various different ones around the country. So yeah, it did look fun. To be fair,
it did. Nice. No, yeah, we'll wait and see what Harry Styles pulls out of his bag later in the year when he does some concerts.
I mean, I don't want to talk about Harry Styles' bag. He could get anything out of that.
Yeah. I still think the best ever Harry Styles concert, though, was the one with James Corden at the traffic light at the crossing.
Really don't like James Corden.
Really?
Yeah, really don't like him. All right, it's just annoying. Loads of people don't like him, especially in England. Okay, apparently he's coming back to England soon. He's leaving America from his talk show. He's leaving his talk show and he's coming back. I don't want him back.
Why's he doing that?
I want him to stay over there. They seem happy with him. They seem to like him over there. We don't. Stay over there. You haven't been good since Gavin and Stacey. Stay back over there.
Gavin and Stacey was fantastic. Of course, he brought that back not so long ago.
Yeah,
maybe that was an attempt, to cross back over into the
remind people that they liked him.
So let's talk about that.
All right.
So there are some celebrities that they come along and they become incredibly popular, and then some magic disappears to some extent, and the crowds fall out of love with them. And you say, like, James Corden is one of them. I mean, we were talking about that earlier this week on the live. The same's happened a little bit for people like Jamie Oliver.
Yeah, well, I think
why is it? What do these people do wrong that makes them?
I mean, sometimes it's falling out of touch with what made them, and also some things it's just them moving on.
Yeah,
like the world just moves on past what you're selling at that point.
Sure.
I still remember that clip of Jamie Oliver. When you say Jamie Oliver, this is the first thing I think of. That clip where he is trying to get kids to not like chicken nuggets.
Right.
And then
that was the start of the downfall, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then they all still love it.
Yeah. Turkey Twizzlers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, look, you wouldn't eat that, would you? And they were
they're all like, yeah, we would. Yeah. We actually, Jamie, we want our chips.
I think there just came a time when everyone was like, yeah, we get it. Eat healthy. That's cool. That's a great message. And then it was like, yeah, and you need to stop eating fish fingers and stuff. I sat there like, no, hold on. Right. That's not going to happen.
And actually, it's part of that, because part of the reason it's out of touch as well is because it's a privilege thing as well. Ultimately, a lot of people can't afford to not eat things like fish fingers and chicken nuggets.
Exactly. It's a way of getting cheap protein into people, and I think it's a little out of touch, isn't it? Yeah, for sure.
Says the man that loves a big bag of chicken nuggets.
Oh, I do. I really do.
I mean, if Jamie came round your place and looked in your freezer.
Oh, there's no bloody way Jamie Oliver. If he came round my house, I'd be making him chicken nuggets on purpose. Trying to convert him.
Jamie, I've cooked you up something special.
I'd make a really nice meal and then put chicken nuggets at the bottom just to try and trick him into eating them, and then be like, "You've eaten them now. You like them."
I've done you a fresh bolognese there, but under that pasta, it's a little surprise. It's called bolognese surprise, and there you go.
with the old chicken nuggets underneath.
Look what's hiding. Oh.
Have you kept up with anything new that's come out recently? Because we're in a big time for new stuff coming out on streaming, TV, that sort of thing. Have you been? I mean, I know you've been away, but have you kept up with anything that's coming out?
No. As you know, when it comes to TV, I do not get I do not get a look in when it comes to the remote and. And what goes on the TV.
You've got plenty of time. You could make it up on it. You could do it. I mean,
no, I really in my spare time, I keep up with music. Clearly,
yeah.
I know. I
think that's why you don't keep up with TV, though. It's because you're too busy.
Can't do both. Yeah, you can't do both. I've got new books on my book reading list, which is good.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't. I have to say, I really haven't kept up with.
Missing out.
Okay, so what should we be watching then?
Okay, let's rattle through what's coming out at the moment.
Good.
So Miss Marvel has just started the new Marvel show, and it looks to be better. It seems more on level with WandaVision, which was really good, than Winter Soldier and Falcon, which was not very good.
I'm going to stop you for a minute. There is something I've watched which is new, and it is brilliant.
What?
Obi-Wan.
Yes. Okay, I was about to talk about that. Obi-Wan's coming out. All right, let me finish up Miss Marvel. We'll get to Obi-Wan. It's also on Disney Plus. So Miss Marvel's got one episode out at the moment, but it's very true to the sort of Pakistani culture that it's based on. They've got an actual Pakistani filmmaker because they've learned from Mulan that you probably shouldn't cast or get different ethnicity directors to direct things, which is a rare move for Disney. And yeah, it's problematic. And yeah, it just seems very, very good. It's been praised by a lot of people from the community for being a very truthful story about what it's like being a modern day person in quite an old-fashioned community sometimes.
Oh, that's good.
And she's also a superhero, so that's cool.
I need to check that out. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Right,
Obi-Wan?
Yes.
Obi-Wan. Oh, my Lord. Ewan McGregor's back. We've all been waiting for it for years. And not only is he back, he's sad. That's
what's so good about it, isn't it? The fact is that he's pretty messed up.
How much of Obi-Wan have you watched?
I've watched a couple of episodes.
Episodes, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So there's some good and bads of Obi-Wan, obviously. And do you know what? It's getting a lot of flack from a lot of the core fan base, but everyone's ignoring it because that's part of the course. If you're a Star Wars fan, you don't like any new Star Wars stuff. That's just kind of how it seems to be.
I remember 1978, and I was like...
Remember when the prequels came out and everyone hated the prequels, and now people love the prequels? Well, it's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Every piece of Star Wars media needs some time to settle down before we decide if it's actually bad or whether it's okay and we just overreacted. Because they always think it's going to be perfect, and nothing could ever be perfect. But Obi-Wan, to me, this is my hot take, my opinion. Obi-Wan feels like they did the same thing to Obi-Wan that they did to Luke Skywalker's character, but it makes a whole lot more sense here. Okay, Luke Skywalker becoming old and jaded and really grumpy does not make sense, but Obi-Wan doing it after all the stuff he had to go through makes loads of sense.
Totally.
He is totally... Ewan McGregor's acting is amazing. He's great. He's grumpy now. And it totally suits the character. Like, whereas with Luke, we were all watching it and it felt really unmotivated and didn't really fit what we'd seen before. This totally fits. This totally fits with what we've seen happen to Obi-Wan.
He feels he's let people down. He feels that he hasn't really.
Yeah, and there's true conflict there. Like I'll try not to spoil anything, but there's true conflict there. He really does have moments where the old Obi-Wan kind of peeks through the cracks a bit, and he really wants to help people, and you can just see it on his face that it's killing him inside that he can't, and then he goes back to being himself, and that's it's pretty awesome as a show.
There you go. So, folks, if you haven't started watching that yet, check it out. Yeah. You need the Disney Channel, of course.
Yeah, you need Disney Plus, but also it's my one
£7 or £8 a month, something like that. But
it's not all good news. Okay, I'm going to do one criticism of Obi-Wan.
Okay,
it's a 6-episode season. We've had 4 of them. 2 of them have been saving Leia.
Yeah,
like 2 of them. I know you haven't watched that far, but 2 of the episodes are episodes where the full episode is him going on 2 separate journeys.
You think that could have been condensed into one?
No. Why would you write in a 6-episode season Leia getting kidnapped twice? Why? I mean, but why does she?
Do you know what that's like though? That's like, you remember at school, it's like lazy homework. You
Yeah.
know when like you feel like you've put lots of effort into one piece of homework and you get back like a little bit of praise for it, and someone goes, "Oh, that was a really good bit of homework." So you think next time what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally do it again.
Yeah, do you know what? When it happened the first time, I was like, this is a really good plot. And then at the end of the episode I've just finished, which is number 3,
Yeah,
she gets kidnapped again, which is
yeah.
not a spoiler because it's in the episode descriptions. So, you know.
The
Just
writer was going on. Look, this is what happened. The writer was going on holiday. Couldn't really be asked. They'd had the feedback through from the previous episode that they'd written,
that
and
had gone well.
that had gone well, and they thought, do you know what? I'm just going to change a bit around here.
But yeah, that just seems to be the downfall of the whole thing. Is why in 6 episodes would you have 2 of them be about the same thing? It doesn't make sense. And you know what? She might get kidnapped again before the end of the season. Then it'd be 3 out of 6.
So one more thing that we should be watching.
The other thing that is coming out actively, and it comes out every Friday, so I'll be watching it.
Friday's a good day.
Yeah, literally, probably straight after this. The Boys.
The Boys.
The Boys.
The Boys.
Everyone I've spoken to has been most excited about The Boys. Even proper Star Wars fans that I'm friends with are more excited about The Boys coming out than Obi-Wan, and they've been waiting for Obi-Wan to come out for like people have been waiting to see Obi-Wan played by Ewan McGregor again for years, and people are still more hyped about The Boys coming out.
Wow,
it's crazy popular.
So what's The Boys? What's The Boys then?
So I will preference it's season 3 of The Boys that's coming out at the moment. Season 1 and 2 have already happened in the last 2 years. It's you haven't seen it at all?
No.
It's like so it's like loads of superheroes that are very similar to normal, like the superheroes we know, but they're obviously alternative versions. The Boys is the biggest. It's the second most popular independent comic series of all time, and the first most popular is Invincible, which Amazon also owns the rights to and makes a show of. So watch Invincible as well, because season 2 of that's coming out soon. But The Boys is like ultra violent superheroes based on them. Like it's like superheroes if they were actually real people and have real character flaws. So a good example is like the main character, whose name is Huey, is just like a normal bloke. And he just starts off as this, like, he's quite puny, he's quite sensitive, and like nerdy. And his trigger for like joining The Boys, who are like these group of people without superhero powers that try and hunt down and kill superheroes, which is interesting. His trigger is like he's holding hands with his girlfriend on the side of the road and they're about to kiss, and then the A-Train, who is the equivalent to the Flash, he's got super speed, runs straight through her, and just an explosion of blood happens and goes all over him because he just like runs straight through her trying to get to a place.
Oh, by accident he runs straight through her.
He's going so fast he just doesn't realize and just kills her.
Oh my word.
And it's like the dark side of superheroes. So like Superman in this one's Superman in this one is like an egomaniac, and everyone's like scared of him. He does some really bad stuff throughout the show.
Yeah.
He's the main villain. But all the Boys themselves are all people that have been wronged by superheroes in the past. They've all lost family or something. And
isn't it funny how our superhero films, stroke programs, or whatever, have developed? Because growing up, you know, and this is the funny thing, we actually did find them a bit scary at the time. Unbelievably. But you remember like the early Superman, when you were talking about that, I was thinking about the early Superman films right? And
Yeah.
it's like that. Oh, I mean, you think about the first Superman film, or even the second Superman film, which was a bit scarier with all of the like the evil people from Krypton that have come down,
Yeah.
whatever. When you look at them again now, they're just laughably unscary. I mean, they really are. They were just so comical,
Mm.
you know. And then suddenly we seem to have developed all of our superhero films become quite dark and quite, you know.
No, I think it's not that. I have to disagree completely. I think
Really?
that apart from a couple of exceptions, the Boys is so popular because it's a reactionary piece of text. Same as
Right.
Invincible. They're both ultra violent. Invincible's a cartoon, but it's got quite a lot of blood in it, and it shows this guy who was he's like a new up and coming hero. He's very young. He thinks superhero life is going to be what he's seen on the movies and stuff, where he's just going to go in and save people. And it doesn't go particularly well to start with. There is there's a scene where he's trying to protect a grandma, and he like carries her to safety from this alien horde, and like puts her down and goes, "Don't worry, it's going to be okay," and then rushes off towards them, and then she just gets blown up behind him, and he's like
Whoops. Oh no.
He's like, what?
It's very tragic, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's like dark tragedy. But yeah, this is what I was saying, is that I think it's reactionary because Marvel films are so clean cut, and there's always a hero and it's all very PG. It's like hero villain, you know. It's very like made for kids, and that's what The Boys and Invincible are. Is like reactionary texts to that. So they're created to criticize that.
But I hear that, but don't you think, like, you know, like all of the, you know, the take for example the Batman films, etc. You know, again, you know, look, I grew up with Adam West, right? Pow!
You didn't really grow up with Adam West.
I did, because that's what was on telly, right? I know,
Right, okay.
I know it was before my time, but that's what we grew up with in terms of Batman on TV. It was like, you know, pow, and it was very comic-like, very, 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 very soft.
Yeah,
you know. And then, like the first Batman films that came out,
yeah,
were still a bit light and comical.
Which ones were the first ones again?
So you had Michael Keaton, and then Michael Keaton.
Yeah, and
Would have been
then
the first ones.
is that the ones where George Clooney did one as well?
And George Clooney did one as well, yeah.
Okay, well, those are the Tim Burton. Well, one of those is Tim Burton's one, though.
Yeah.
They didn't want that to be light.
was-
They wanted that to be really dark.
It was dark, but what I'm saying is it seems to have got darker and darker and darker.
If you read the original Tim Burton script for Batman, the one that he directed, it is really dark, like way darker than the modern Batman. To be honest, it's really, really dark, and they just cut loads of it in, and they didn't let him make it the way he wanted to make it.
Yeah.
But you think of the cast that he had, would have been incredible. Jack Nicholson as the Joker in a really dark.
He was dark. Joker. That's true. That is true. That is fair enough.
It was all casted based on that. It was all casted based on the original script and what he thought he was going to do with it.
Now let's talk. There you go, folks. There's some things to go and watch.
Don't watch
and enjoy.
Season 1.
Enjoy it and absorb.
Don't watch it.
Let's talk about social media for a minute. I mean, have you been following? Yeah.
No, joking.
Is there anything you've seen on social media that's caught your eye in the last week or so?
Let me think. Yeah, I've seen a few things. I mean, first of all, we missed this last week, so we'll talk about it this week. Because you weren't here, you were in Portugal. Yes. But we missed all the social media buzz, and we've been talking about it a little bit. We missed all the social media buzz of Johnny Depp winning. his defamation.
True.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of the reaction? Was it what you expected?
Yeah. Everyone seems very positive about it, which is good, right? I don't think anyone is biting onto Amber Heard coming out afterwards and being like, "This is a step back for victims now." I don't think that's true in any way. She said it's a step back for all women that she lost that case. I don't think that's true. I think it's purely I think it's actually just a win for domestic violence survivors in general, because there are men that get domestically abused and they very rarely win their cases. So it's lovely that Johnny Depp's won that.
Yeah. Is the whole thing though? Is the whole thing is it a win though for domestic violence, or actually the cases, or actually has the whole thing being so theatrical and so over the top in a way actually degraded the whole court?
No, I don't.
Thing?
I don't think so at all. I don't think that. A couple of highlights from what's come out is Camille Vasquez, the lawyer for Johnny Depp, the female lawyer that was part of his team, that gave some really great. She, as the case went on, took over more and more of the case under the direction of Ben Chow, the head lawyer. That was. She's been promoted to partner at her firm. So that's great for her. That's another a woman going higher up on the hierarchy in law, which is great. That's always awesome to see, and rightly earned as well, because she really did a stellar job on the case. But here's the main thing is that Amber and her lawyer have been, well, actually Amber's not really been on TV, but her lawyer's been on TV representing her lots, and just peddling the same thing, that this is a major loss for women, and one of the things that came out is that Amber can't pay the money that she's now owes to Johnny Depp. She doesn't have the money, so they don't really know how they're going to pay her, and her sentence is massively reduced from what it should have been as well, because Johnny Depp was awarded 15 mil, but in the state, 5 mil of that was punitive damages, which is the actual criminal one. You're being punished for doing something wrong. But in the state they got tried, the maximum you can get is 350,000. So that was reduced from 5 mil to 350,000. But he still has 10 million and 350,000 to collect. And then he owes Amber 2 million. So it's 8 million and such. But he's actually come out recently and said he might not collect it at all, because it was more important him winning the case than
the money,
collecting the money.
Yeah. In terms of the, and this is probably where it impacts you more than anything, in terms of the impact of him winning on the actual film industry.
Yeah.
What's that going to be?
We'll get Johnny Depp back.
Right.
Well, that's cool. Johnny Depp's coming back. He's already confirmed 2 new films.
Cool.
One of which was confirmed during the court case. So this is another thing. Loads of news outlets that Amber's lawyer had been on have literally confronted the lawyer with, well, just no one believed Amber on the stand. She doesn't seem believable. She's not good at acting, and nobody liked what they perceived as a lie on the stand. But Johnny's coming back. Amber Heard will probably not get too many films after the 2 she's already confirmed for. She might possibly have reduced roles there. the Actors Union will probably cease their strike against Warner Bros. For the Fantastic Beasts thing, because Johnny Depp is, he's won his case. So Warner Bros. Warner Bros. Have issued a statement before that said if Johnny Depp won his case, they would meet the demands of the Actors Union. So that will settle itself, which will just mean Warner Bros. Lose a lot of money. But they've got money. That's not a problem. Johnny said he'll never work with Disney again, so would expect to not see him work with Disney. But yeah, I imagine everything will just settle down and Johnny Depp will just go back to working, and that will be the impact on the industry.
Johnny Depp, I mean, the interesting thing about Johnny Depp, actually, from my perspective, is the fact that when you listen to a lot of interviews from people that know Johnny Depp personally, is that they say actually, if they've been to Johnny Depp's house or whatever, you wouldn't even believe that he was an actor.
Yeah.
That it seems that he's a musician.
Yeah.
Not an actor.
He does say that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. He completely, apparently you go around there and, there's guitars and everything on the walls, and it's like
he's way more into his music than his acting. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to doing more music than acting, especially for a while.
Yeah.
But he's just a phenomenal actor, right? During the case when they were bringing up all this stuff about, well, he's always late to set a lot of the time, and he doesn't work as long as other people. You got to think the reason people put up with that on their films for so long was because he brings the goods at the end of the day. He's really good at what he does when he does do it. Like,
he's a definite natural.
He is, for sure.
It's almost seems effortless.
Inevitably, we'll see a new Tim Burton at some point with Johnny Depp. Almost, yeah.
Well, what I want to see is, because one of his partners in crime musically is Alice Cooper. I'd love to see a Johnny Depp Alice Cooper movie. There we go. I think that would be.
Well, maybe they make a CD first, and then that will be.
Yeah, but I'd love to see what a little bit part for Alice Cooper. I think would be great.
I'm sure he could sort that.
Yeah, that would definitely be good. I mean, over on LinkedIn, as I've come back, it seems that people are a lot of people are away at the moment. That's what I'm really getting. It seems to be a lot of sort of, I'm away, not really doing very much. It seems been a little bit quiet on LinkedIn on that side of things. I think we're beginning to get into sort of like the summer holiday period, as it were, and it seems that there's not a great deal of overly creative activity on it as a platform at the moment.
I'll tell you what, we'll talk about some LinkedIn content I saw. I won't name who it was, but I saw some really awful video content on LinkedIn.
Did you?
Really?
And it wasn't me. Brilliant.
No, it wasn't you.
No, great.
Which breaks the norm. That's just a given. If I see 90% of your video content,
well, we'll sort that out in due course. Yeah, but
exactly.
Go on.
It was just really low quality, grainy, like webcam footage of someone sat square on, talking in a 4-minute video, without subtitles or anything. It's just sat there like, who's going to stop for 4 minutes of their day to watch you talk directly at your camera? So I did. I stopped for 4 minutes of my day and watched it, and wasn't very interesting either. They weren't very animated, or there were lots of ums and ahs that were there, and I was thinking, I think a lot of the problem is lots of people don't even realize that all the big YouTubers and stuff script their content really heavily, and it's very scripted. Working with someone who understands content is is not something that a lot of businesses see the importance of at first, I think. But like, yeah, a lot of YouTubers script their content really heavily, and you know.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I just redid, and it was, you know, in terms of quality of shoot and all of that sort of thing, it wasn't, you know, a game or whatever. But I redid my little profile video the other day. But even that, I scripted it first.
Yeah, of course.
You know, because why would you not? Right? You've got 30 seconds. You need to make sure that it fits within a 30-second frame.
Yeah.
etc. So, I mean, it was scripted. I mean, yeah, it was just shot on the phone, partly because it's the easiest way of uploading it. But I still, you know, bother to do subtitles for it as well.
You've got absolutely no excuse because you've got both my cameras with you at home at the moment. So
yeah,
I mean,
not it makes it more difficult doing it with a camera because you actually then have to get it into that kind of whatever.
That is true. That is true.
That ratio for that, and actually LinkedIn, what they've done is they've actually created the kind of API for that means that it's suited to doing it on the phone. They want you to do it on the phone.
I know they do.
But what I'm saying
is, I don't want to do it on the phone. I want to do it on my camera.
But it was still scripted and it still had subtitles put on it. You know, I mean, ultimately, people, what's the matter with you? Why can't you be bothered to do those little bits in order to, you know,
just some little things, just some little things.
Little things to at least make it, you know. I've seen some pretty awful profile videos. I've seen profile videos where part of the head's like this. Hi, my business is that. What are you? I mean, what are you doing? It's like, dude, who watches that back? This is what gets me: is who watches that back and thinks that's good. I can upload that now.
Yeah, do you know what? There's just so many people where I think, look, I'd rather just go in and script your content for you just so I've then got interesting content to watch at that point. Like, there's loads of LinkedIn is really hard to find content that I'd actually want to engage with.
Yeah. The other one that gets me, it's always got me, is where and we'll be doing some free training with some people soon. I put out a poll about this this morning and had quite a lot of people come back and say, yes, we want free training.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? So, you know, some people don't necessarily want it, but
they can pay if they want. If they want paid training, that's fine.
But there do seem to be a lot of people out there that would really like a little bit of help with getting going on LinkedIn, which is great because that's what we want. We want to speak to those people, and if you're one of those people, do get in touch. But yeah, I mean, it's little things like I read posts by people where they go, I don't seem to be able to get any traction at all. No, nobody's looking at my profile, etc. And then you look at their profile, and up the top where there's a banner, right? They've just got that grey bit still. It's like,
look, I think
is there any reason
you're like your posts aren't getting traction? And there is like loads of people on LinkedIn. First of all, LinkedIn's not the best platform for engagement at times. People forget to engage on things, or just choose not to, I guess. But the people that have viewed the post is normally way higher than the people that have engaged. And I wonder whether some people are just reading posts and then not engaging because it's not like, you know, maybe they're not seeing it as a social media platform. Maybe they're just like, oh, well, it's my thing. I'm going to scroll through this, but you know, but also I think loads of people have this like assumed sense, like I'm gonna write something, and then I'm going to assume that everyone should stop and read my thing because I've taken the time to write it. And if I just do that once, then that will probably generate some engagement, which is not how it works. You need well, I mean, we've got the tips of the trade, but you need some sort of repetition, you know, some sort of consistency.
Oh, so much so. I'm going to show you one of my favorite people talking about engagement and just quality content and just doing this thing right. Okay, I'm going to show you now, everybody, off my phone. one of my favorite content creators at the moment, he's not really on LinkedIn. But this is Instagram. This is a reel. But just watch this, everyone, and get the genius of this. Okay. Don't know whether you can actually hear this as well, but yeah, it's just look the quality.
Think of how high budget and like set up that actual thing is.
Yeah.
Think of how much effort they've put into that reel.
Absolutely. They've had to find a room. They've had to find a room that looks, because actually, if you look at it, it's not the same room, but they've had to find a room which looks vaguely similar to the room in the first part of the video. So obviously there's a part of the video there which they've taken off of somebody else's content where someone slams someone's head into the table, etc. But they've lit it, they've bothered to light their room in exactly the same way, so it looks like it's the other end of the room. It's just brilliant.
It's great. It's a great bit of reactionary content.
Yeah. That right, and that's the thing you have to say to some people. Doing less content, but doing better content, less often is going to get you a better result. Yeah.
And then some people, it's the other way around. Because if you're doing one piece of content every 6 months and it's the bee's knees,
that's not enough. Not enough.
No one's going to watch you once every 6 months.
Yeah. But he probably does one a week.
Yeah.
That's like that. And that's fine, but the thing is that people wait for it because
also he probably does more than one a week. How long does it really take him to do that? Like, people think that making high-end stuff takes ages, but it doesn't really. How long does it take him to do that? I mean, he has found an LED strip and put it behind him, lit it to the right color, which you could go to the shop and buy one right now and do that. And then he stood in the corner with his mate and they've thought of the joke that they're going to do and then they've done it. I mean, that probably took them start to end 30 minutes maybe. Which really you could do that one a day if you wanted to.
Exactly. Look, the thing is, and here's a really good example. I brought this one out yesterday. Right, this is not the greatest bit of content in the world. All right, I'm not saying this is, but this is a bit of content that I produced very, very quickly for Wow Ergonomics yesterday.
Oh, is it something you produced?
Yes.
Oh, it's not the greatest bit of content.
It's not that, no. And obviously, if Addy was here, he would have helped me with it. It would have been so much better. But the point is this, right? We're going to watch this little bit of content, but I just want to say to you folks, just be creative, right? You're just not putting enough creativity a lot of the time into your content. Okay, here's the quick bit of content.
In the kitchen today, we're going to make a Backer Elkhuysen keyboard. Flour, pistachio nuts, pops. Pull it all out, place it onto the baking tray, the oven, and here it is.
There we go. Right, that was it.
You see, I did watch this actually. This was something I watched before this. Maybe a first for A Better Way to Do Friday. Addy knew something before we watched it on the thing. But yeah, I have watched this before. I thought this was quite funny. Do you know what? There were things that I would have changed and I would have done differently. I think you didn't commit to it enough.
Yeah.
I'll give you a live critiquing if you want. And then
that'd be really useful.
We would improve this content. Okay, first of all, would have been way funnier if you'd so in stuff like this format, which I think this joke or like elements of this joke have been done before very successfully online, with the like it swaps to something else at the end. You needed to mix the ingredients and actually put something into the oven.
Do you know what? I actually, I was thinking if I'd had more time, because it was a bit last minute, I would have actually made some dough and like put currants or something on to make it look like a keyboard. Because I think that would have been great.
That would have been way funnier, I think, and added a bit of polish to it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What else?
I mean, the editing wasn't great. And
it's all right. It's okay,
But But
maybe the lighting could have done with a bit of spice, but it's all apart from that, it's a great short content video.
But the point is, why can't people produce that stuff? I mean, what is it that's stopping
Because
people being?
LinkedIn's got to be serious. It's got to be serious, and you can't sell things if you're being funny. Although comedy is literally in at the moment, I mean, that's the thing, is loads of people on LinkedIn are contradictory to themselves. Okay, they want to be a social platform that is business focused, which is what LinkedIn is, and they want to sell things to people, and they want to be serious all the time.
Yeah.
Or social platforms and being serious all the time.
So glad you use the word contradictory as well, though, because for me, that's the biggest issue that I see with a lot of people out there at the moment, is the contradiction in what they're saying. And to me, if you think about social selling as against sort of like selling, through sort of advertising, if you like, even then, to keep something on brand and getting the branding right, if your messages are contradictory, you are damaging your brand.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you put out one post one day where you say, do you know what? I'm all about work-life balance. Right. And, I think it's really important that we look after ourselves. And, we should really focus on the things that are important in life. It's not all about work. Yeah. And then the next day you do a post and you go, do you know what? I'm really committed to this. I've been working 16-hour days all this week. You're completely undermining your own content.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the other thing, though. Loads of people aren't paying attention to advertising trends and what's current at the moment, right? So just piggyback off of companies. What the big companies are doing in terms of tone on their adverts, they pay absolutely tons to research that and find out what audiences want at that time. Yeah. You don't even have to do that. You could just watch YouTube and work out what people are into at the moment. Well, but loads of adverts from before COVID and maybe 1 year into COVID, really serious. Like, we were in a period where we had a lot of serious adverts, a lot of maybe heartfelt stuff, a lot of touching things. And then after a year into COVID till modern day, we've got a lot more comedy adverts now. We've got a lot more funny stuff, a lot more companies acting very lighthearted. It's very corporate lighthearted, obviously. It's it's funny, but it's also corporate. But that's because comedy is in at the moment. Okay, it pays off massively to be funny. It's paying off literally in advertising, in YouTube, on normal social platforms, and yet on LinkedIn, no one seems to be really taking the plunge on this. No one seems to be making funny things. Pepsi hosted a game show. Pepsi made a game show for Pepsi's barely involved in the game show. They're just paid to make it, to have their logo in the background.
That's all that it's needed,
because it's funny.
Exactly. No, I think you're absolutely right. And I just think that people are really struggling with the brand side of things, or the branding side of things. They're really not thinking about, does it sort of follow through from one day to another, and it's, that content, that's where it needs to drive. You've got to be when people talk about consistency, you see so many posts where people go, perhaps the reason why you're not doing well, or perhaps the reason why I'm not doing well, that they might be saying, is because I know that I wasn't being consistent. But consistency doesn't just mean, well, I do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Why
consistency?
Why do you expect consistency if you write every day? Because why would that create a consistent environment if you wrote your post every day? Because you wake up in a different mood every day. You wake up different every day. Yeah. Why wouldn't you write your posts all in one go for a week, and then you can lay them out next to each other and look at them and go, do these posts match up? Are they one brand, or are they But if you wake up every morning and you write something, how
Yeah.
how is that meant to be
Well,
concise to a brand?
one of my consistencies is the fact that I do a poll every single morning. The consistency is the fact that the mechanism is the same every single day. The content of that will be different because I will wake up with something different to say every single day, and it will transverse over a period of time depending upon what's ever current. But the timing and the mechanism are the same, and they are there every day.
Yeah.
So I have built up a group of people that come looking for that content because it's there every day. That is at the same time. That is consistency, right? But you still, within that as well, you still have to make sure that you are consistently saying the same things, right? You don't, from one day to the next, change your mind about things. And especially on the social selling side of things, I think this is where people are getting confused about this. Yes, it's good to show you as a person over to people, but if you're conflicting in your own personality, if you haven't worked things through yourself, I'd be very careful about putting that out on social media, because that improportionate balance of emotions out there are quite confusing to people. One day, this person's really up and saying, come to us. I'm full of creativity. I'm the bee's knees. I've seen this a lot from creatives recently, and I'm not sure it's good at all. Where one day they're like, I am the bee's knees in terms of creativity. I can turn round your profile. I can do this. I can do that. And the next day they're going, I feel a bit like a fraud. I don't really know what I'm doing. I haven't really got anything to say. What they're trying to do is trying to, make them out to be vulnerable and real, but you're selling your creative services. You can't afford to be vulnerable. And,
you can afford to be vulnerable as a creative. It's just knowing the right way to do it. It's like, look, so if I was a creative, which I am, so that all works out very nicely in this economy. But like, if I wanted to be vulnerable, I do be vulnerable as a creative sometimes, but that is through the work that you make. So you are opening up about yourself is really vulnerable. And when you make things that are, when you either put your work out to the public for them to criticize, or you make something that has a deeper meaning to you or touches on something you're sensitive to, that is you being vulnerable as a creative. That being vulnerable as a creative doesn't mean you writing a post where you go, I am not sure what I'm doing at the moment, because that is not being vulnerable, really. That is incompetency. If you don't know what you're doing, like, it's a different thing.
Yes. No, exactly. That's what I meant, really. It's to me, there's a difference. Yes, show that you're empathetic, show that you're, there's a vulnerability in you as a person, as you say, through your work, and the fact that you can create something that resonates with people, or put it out in the work that you're doing for other people as a creative.
Yeah.
But don't turn around and say to people, and it's a time scale thing as well. Don't turn around to say to people on a Monday, right, I'm at a low ebb. I really can't think of anything to do. I'm a fraud. I've got imposter syndrome. And then on the Tuesday, turn around and go, I can get you the big numbers, because to me that's showing that. Do you know what I'm reading when I read that? You're playing
both audiences.
You're playing both audiences, and you're not coming across as authentic. You think you're coming across as authentic because you're trying to work on emotions, but you're not coming across as authentic, because authentic actually means that authentic is actually getting in control of that a little bit more.
And look, if you really don't know what you're doing, and that's true, and you really are just starting out,
That's fine.
but be consistent. Just a company would rather you come, sort of cap in hand, going, look, I'm feeling like I've got the right skill set for this sort of thing, but I haven't got too much experience. Then all the posts about not really knowing what you're doing might make sense. And being like, look, I'd like to come and do some work for you, and just sort of, you can't charge as much, obviously, but I'd like to come and do some work for you, to sort of, find my feet a little bit.
That's an interesting question.
It's a natural thing. It can't be taught. Do you agree? Creativity can't be taught.
I think you can teach anyone to be more creative. I think
I do think there's a natural ability to be creative.
yes. But even then, you need to learn the skills to develop.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is that you can't teach creativity, but also creativity tends to be useless without the skill set to put it out in some way.
Yeah,
like you could be the most creative filmmaker in the world,
but you still need to know how to make good quality film.
Yeah, not know how to make a film, and that wouldn't help you really, would it? Because creatives are dying normally for a creative outlet of some kind, and that's what. So a lot of creatives don't like academics. Like they don't get on well with academics. Not all of them. There's a lot of creatives that like academics as well, but a majority of creatives don't get along very well with academics. And the reason that loads of them still end up studying academically their thing is because the need for a creative outlet drives them to go through the academic process to learn their creative process and to find a creative outlet, which is if you view that as creativity, then creativity is being taught there. If you view that as an outlet, then I suppose creativity was always with them and they're just thing.
Yeah, people really do that.
Yeah,
no, they really do. I agree. I think you got to develop a skill set. I mean, I had a really interesting interview with a musician who I really related to the other day, because he, a bit like me, he didn't ever really learn instruments particularly well. But what he did need to learn, and he said that over years, what he did need to learn was he needed to learn some of the fundamentals of an instrument in order to be able to show other people sketches of ideas. But he needed to learn to architect his ideas in a way that they would be understood by the other musicians who were going to perform them for him. And so however you do it, whether you become a master of your craft or your instrument or whatever, but if, say, for example, for him, if songwriting is his craft, not playing an instrument, he still has to perfect songwriting. He has to learn from other people about, how to structure a song well. And he also needs to learn how to architect that and demonstrate that to other people properly so that they can actually be able to play on that. So creatives come in different shapes and forms, but ultimately we never, as anyone, we never stop learning. And if we think that we know it all and that that's we've reached the pinnacle, then we're wrong, basically. We should always be up for learning from people. You hire your team. Yes, we hire our team. Yeah, we hire our team out to other people all the time. That's what we do. If you want to hire us, we're totally available.
And look, it also depends, right? This is kind of, I think the problem is maybe that this is a really philosophical question, but it really depends on how you're defining creativity, right? On whether creativity is natural or taught, or what creativity is. If it's generating new ideas that haven't been thought before, then creativity is a really hard thing to do, because creativity gets harder the further humans go, right? When you think about it, every time a new idea is generated, that becomes another idea that cannot be generated before.
Yeah.
So
I understand where she's coming from, but I think within the the other thing I would say is, going back to a little bit to what I just said, is that within the creative process, there are lots of people involved in that. I mean, for example, with one client, I work on a team with other people who would call themselves creatives, okay? And they are creatives in a particular way. So, for example, I will work with graphic artists who are incredibly good at producing end result graphics.
yes.
Right? They can't necessarily come up with the conceptual ideas to go into those graphics in the first place, but their creativity in terms of taking that idea and, creating something amazing graphically from it works. And that's where, a lot of creatives will work in teams, because just like anything else, you rub off against each other. You find the bit that you're particularly good at, and if you get the teams right, then the output at the end is even better, because you can't have everybody coming up with the ideas. You can't have everybody.
It's why we have a director in every creative output thing. If there's a thing with a large group of people coming together to make one creative project, there's always a director. No matter what industry you're in, you always tend to end up with a director, because otherwise it takes way too long to filter through the creativity, and it ends up a mess normally, because you have lots of conflicting ideas inside it.
Yeah, I like that from Susan. I believe it's there for everyone once you go deep into your highest supreme power. I'd say maybe you're right, Susan, but I would also say that there are some people that I've met that should completely stay away from anything creative, because it's just not for them. So some people are not that way inclined, right? Some people get excited about facts, and some people get excited about Excel spreadsheets, right?
Do you know what? I had a great metaphor for this the other day, of like what is creativity when it's good, and then what is someone being creative but it's not great. And it was like, so you've got a machine that takes pound coins, and there's a guy with a 50p coin trying to push it into the slot and goes, I'm just being creative here. Now, no, it doesn't matter how long he pushes that coin, it's not going into the slot. No matter how creative his solution is, it's not going into the pound coin slot, is it?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just because they haven't got the right. If he had a machine that took 50p coins, he'd be really great with his creative solution there.
So he can be creative as much as he likes, but basically at the end of the day, his creativity isn't going to work.
Yeah. Basically, he has to find the right outlet for his creativity, which is the
50p coin machine. And on that note, we're going to leave it today, because we've severely overrun. We've had a great conversation. I hope people take something away from it. Probably an hour and 20 minutes of their life.
Yeah, and a doner kebab.
And a doner kebab. Who doesn't love a doner kebab? Eh? We had those on holiday. True. What's this? I caught you live. Yay! Finally.
Right at the end.
Phil, you caught us right at the end, just before we disappear off into the sunset.
That's what you get if you run over. More people get to see you.
That's true. But what you can do, any of you, is you can watch it all again. In fact, all of these episodes are now up on Spotify as well.
Nice.
If you
that bit where you put the video on screen will be really great for people on Spotify.
I always love those bits on Spotify.
They're really gonna love that there.
Yeah, maybe I might edit that. Maybe a little bit of editing of this one, maybe to just bring it down under the hour as well, might be a good idea before we pop it up on Spotify. Sure. But the existing ones are up on Spotify. You can go and listen to them. They're great value because they're free. And that's always a great price. Things might go bad too when many creators on the team take the rejection of their ideas personally. Yeah, no, totally agree with that.
Yeah, you have to deal with that as a director all the time.
You cannot be too precious in a creative team. Sometimes you have to you have to have one person that makes the ultimate decision.
Yeah.
That is always important. You know, someone's got to call the shots, and we've all been there. When we've been in part of a creative team, sometimes you put your idea forward and you are absolutely convinced that your idea is the best and yours is the one that should go forward. But someone's got to make that decision.
Doesn't matter. Because sometimes you can't see, right? I always say this, we'll end after this, but I say this, right? The director's job, like this is what I do on a documentary as well, is director's job is to stand back and look at the overall picture and make one clear image that fits their thing. Now, you might have a great idea for this one scene over here that looks really awesome, and you think that will look great over here. But if it doesn't fit into this here, if that one scene isn't going to fit into this, then there's literally no point in doing this one scene differently in your idea, because it's not going to fit with the rest of the thing. And sometimes it's not. So we're not looking for the best idea for this scene. We're looking at the best idea for the whole thing, which isn't always that. But the person that's coming up with the idea is probably focusing on this, which is great. That's like useful, but you just have to trust that the director is doing this and thinking about the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a more omnipotent viewpoint of the whole thing.
I am God. Don't judge me.
That is how a lot of directors think. And on that bombshell,
it's time to end.
We'll see you again next Friday for more of the same. Paul will be back next week to do his favourite music. We will probably have some other guests. In fact, I know we will have guests next week. Yes, happy weekend to you as well, Susan. Thanks for coming along. Thanks to Bill as well, and thanks to the other Susan. There's lots of Susans on here today. But until next week, have a good week. Don't eat too much over the weekend. And bye for now.
Bye for now.